Can you just take a moment to try and recall when you received a handmade gift? And if you can just think for a moment how it made you feel. You know, I can imagine that you must have felt extra special, knowing that the giver must have taken the time and effort to make the gift specially for you. Did you know that making and giving handmade gifts is one of the most important things that we can do for our brains and for our relationships? No wonder the Bible says that it is better to give than to receive. Because just a simple handmade gift, you know, is the result of a series of events that takes place in the human brain. Welcome to this channel. I'm Senna. Here I like to share things that we can do to help to make our lives better as we get older, so that we are not just surviving, but we are actually thriving. I've been invited to give a presentation on stress relief in our office, and I decided to just tie this video in, into the, just make that event part of it. And how am I doing that? It's all about the hidden benefits of handmade gifts. That is the title of this video today. So before we delve in a little bit deeper, I just want to show you some things I've made, because as I was thinking and getting ready for this session in the office, I thought, wouldn't it be good if I just made a few token gifts to give out at the end of the program? Reason being, we are all working hard. It's a stressful time for everybody and all that. And I thought, why don't you just make something that would help to bring some sort of a bit of joy, and just a little thing that will help to bring restoration, to the recipients. So what I've done, I've already gone ahead and then I've embroidered. This is a face cloth with the words relax on it, of course. We've got 2 managers in the office and they work really hard. Of course, everyone else we all are working hard, but I thought, it would be nice to just give them something that, at the end of the day, they can just go home and just, pamper themselves a little bit. So this face cloth is actually the second one. This is the first one. This is the pack of what I want to give to both managers. So that is why I did. This is this face cloth is to go in another pack. So I'm going to show you what is inside, or tell you a bit more of what is inside the gifts. So I don't know, maybe I might bring this table a bit closer. So these are the things that I've made. And so, like I said, in this package, there's the face cloth, of course, and then there's a lip balm, chocolate lip balm, and then there's a lavender soap, and then there's the foot soak and foot balm. So the foot soak is, I think it's this one. I made some salts so that they can soak their feet. Just a little token, So yeah. So there's the foot salts and then the foot calming foot balm. Both of them contain lavender and tea tree oil. So yes, so that is what is going to be for the managers, as I said, of course, with a lavender soap, which I'm going to put in the other ladies one. So what I want to talk about is some of the things that I have here. I've decided that everybody will just have a little soap, you know, as a token. And then here are chocolates and dark chocolate and white chocolate. And the reason I chose to make these gifts is because of the powerful, superb ingredients that they contain. Like I'm gonna talk about what, you know, the benefits of chocolate in a minute, but in this soap, there's the first layer is lavender. It's lavender. So the main ingredient is lavender in the first layer. Second layer is goat's milk. Third layer is honey. So this is a powerful therapeutic soap. So I chose lavender because, as I said, this combination is because lavender, in fact, lavender is so versatile. So versatile. So is, I think, is one of the best gifts that God gave to us, honestly. My neighbor to my right side, she grows lavender at the front. One day I'm gonna, you know, do a video of her beautiful, the front is so beautiful. And last year she gifted me a whole, in fact my whole conservatory was full of lavender when she harvested it. And it was just, oh, just to die for that smell. That it was, you know. So this is my last year, part of my last year gift stock, you know. But lavender is powerful. It's an analgesic, it's anti-inflammatory, it's antimicrobial, it's antifungal, it's sedative, it's a cicatrisant. Cicatrisant means that is good for wound healing. It is just so, I mean, that is even just to name a few of what, you know, lavender, you know, does. I just can't do without lavender in any manner, shape, or form. Lavender always has to be in this house. And then, so yes, and then we also have, we're talking about the dark chocolate. Dark chocolate can help to prevent the skin from UV damage. It helps to increase blood flow. It also helps to decrease blood pressure. It is also good for, what else is it? It helps to even, in the brain, help to connect, reconnect, or make new neurons in the brain. And did I mention that it's also good for protecting the skin against UV damage? And it's also an antioxidant. So basically, that is actually just to name a few, you know, of the benefits of lavender, of chocolate and lavender. So let's continue. So then, of course, we've got the second layer, which is goat's milk. And in the video, my previous video, I talked about the benefits of, I think it was when I was talking about honey and goat's milk, or honey and milk in as a whole. Milk, of course, we know contains lactic acid, and lactic acid is a very good exfoliant. And as I mentioned in that video, we have different types of alpha hydroxy acids, and lactic acid is one of them. We've got glycolic acid, we've got mandelic acid, we've got, like as I said, lactic acid as well. But lactic acid happens to be a little bit milder than glycolic acid. So I tend to prefer, you know, lactic acid when I'm doing for skincare. So you've got the lactic acid in here that would help to, you know, give a gentle exfoliation. And then, of course, you know, after you've exfoliated your skin, because I also did a video about the do's and don'ts when after you've had a facial. And I also explained that when you've got an exfoliation, when you've just had an exfoliation, your skin can be open to it's more sensitive. And so when you combine honey is a very good humectant, meaning that it draws moisture from the atmosphere and then traps it in our skin. So it's a very good way to keep our skin hydrated. So when you combine the alpha hydroxy acid and then with the honey, that gives the skin a good balance. And of course, having lavender too, which is very, very healing for the skin, you know, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better combination or mix of ingredients for the skin. So basically, these are the gifts that I want to, you know, give after the relaxation or stress relief session at the office. So now, I just want us to delve in a little bit deeper into the hidden benefits of giving handmade gifts. So I'll just be reading a bit of the extra points that I wrote down, and so one of it is, you know, cost of production. A lot of people find it easier to just run to the shop and pick up something because, of course, it's quicker, and because most of the time they are mass produced, so it ends up being cheaper. But you see, when, you know, even though it's quicker and cheaper, science has actually is telling us that the time, care, and focus that are infused into making something by hand lets loose a chain of benefits for both the giver and the receiver. Because what happens in the brain is that countless studies have proven that creative hobbies can reduce stress, anxiety, and feelings of depression. I mean, I know that, you know, when I'm creating, everything just, at that point, my whole mind is just focused on what I'm doing. You know, my whole mind is just focused, and everything, all the troubles are, you know, put to one side. I'm doing my sewing, I'm focused on, you know, of course, you know, you could have stress from sewing as well, a little bit, you know, if maybe something didn't turn out the way you wanted it, and then you have to take it off and everything. But you know that everything is going towards, you know, a finished end. You know that at the end of, in spite of all the taking off and unpicking and recutting and all that sort of thing, you know that you are going to, you know, end up with something good, you know. So it does definitely help to reduce at least my stress levels when I'm actually, you know, sewing. So activities that we love to engage in helps to lower cortisol, which is the brain's main stress hormones, which in turn reduces heart rates and blood pressure, which is so fantastic, isn't it? Another study revealed that just spending 45 minutes of making art reduced the cortisol levels of 75% of the participants, including those who didn't even have a clue what they were doing. They were just busy enjoying, you know, doing something, you know, even though they were not seasoned artists. And why is that, you might ask? Well, the reason for this is because there's a neurotransmitter in our brains which releases a feel-good hormones called dopamine. And as we are busy engaging in our crafts, the joy inducing chemicals floods our bodies and allows us to have total calm, pleasure, and also, you know, focus. And there are yet more rewards, which, you know, come from creating things from scratch, because it also includes fantastic long-term effects on our mental and cognitive health, feelings of accomplishment, which boosts self-esteem and confidence. I can attest to that. When I finish designing something, tell me about, I really feel good. And even better when somebody says, where did you get that dress? Or did you make that? Or, you know, it really looks good on you. I tell you, it just sends your confidence level to, yay, just, you know, way up there. So, and it can also help to reduce, you know, cognitive, age-related cognitive decline. So, yes. And then there's a chemistry of connection. Economists have said, or have a term called the warm glow effect, and this relates to the simple joy we get when we do something for someone else, because the act of giving stimulates the reward centers in our brains, which sets off a powerful social and chemical reaction. That is really powerful. I mean, it's no wonder, you know, one just feels good. after making something, even if it's for yourself or you are giving it to somebody. But yeah, anyway, so the difference between a store-bought item or a handmade one, what's the difference? Well, the time and effort that is invested into making a gift is felt in a positive way by the receiver of the gift. I remember some years ago, maybe 2018 or something, I can't remember, when I was working in London, and I had this colleague who, because I like to wear scarves sometimes around my neck, and so this colleague kept asking, so where do you get your scarves? Where do you get your scarves and stuff like that? So her birthday was coming up, and I decided, okay, maybe I should go and get her a scarf. So I bought the scarf, and then I, wrapped it up, and then embroidered, or wrote her name on top of the gift wrap. I actually, embroidered the name, stuck it on the gift wrap, and then presented it to her. And for some, I'm not saying that she didn't appreciate the gift. She did. The scarf, she loved it, but the fact that I had taken the time to write her name, to embroider her name, I think I used my sewing. I didn't know anything about embroidery then, machine embroidery. I just used my sewing machine to just write her name. She actually even tore off her name, and then stuck it on a book or something that she tends to use all the time. And she was like, oh my God, oh, you wrote my name, and she was so appreciative, more than she even did the scarf. And why? Because maybe because the scarf was store-bought. I went and just pulled it off a shelf from a store, and then maybe she felt that, yeah, okay, I really appreciate. But then, every Tom, Dick, and Harry might, or not Tom, any lady out there could be using this scarf too. But the fact that you took that time to actually write my name, I mean, it made it so personal, extra personal, So yeah, I just know that, there's definitely something different about giving a handmade item versus a store-bought item, even though you invested. Both of them, of course, are money, and it's I can tell you without mincing words, that is actually more expensive most of the time to create a handmade gift. If you are talking about the time, the effort, the searching for the materials, the putting it together and all whatnot. So yeah, so it really, really does tell the person, the receiver, that you really do care. So anyway, but giving of any sort, it could be handmade, it could be store-bought, no matter what, definitely helps to improve our relationships. And why is that? It's basically down to thoughtfulness. The thoughtfulness behind the gift giving, and that is what triggers yet another chemical called oxytocin, aka the bonding chemical or the cuddle chemical. That feeling that you get when you cuddle somebody, or when you feel bonded to somebody, that feeling, that's oxytocin that is being released, being flooding your system. And that is what triggers that feel good, feeling of pleasure and all that. And oxytocin creates a feeling of trust, safety, and connectedness. So now, what's the ripple effect of handmade versus store-bought? So let's take a look at the environmental impact. So mass-produced items actually contribute a lot to pollution and waste. In contrast, however, handmade items have a much smaller carbon footprint because materials are usually sourced locally, or we recycle, or they are sourced in a more sustainable way. And therefore, this definitely makes you know, it's a little bit more less destructive to the environment, no matter how small. And because handmade gifts are made with care, you know, they tend to last longer, they are more durable. And yes, because even when I'm making an item, for instance, maybe a dress, I found that with my own outfits, you know, when I used to buy or let's say an outfit, I found out that it disintegrates faster versus when I make that make an item for myself. And apart from even that, I also discovered that before I maybe make a dress and I buy the fabric, I look at, you know, what's the best way to first pre-treat it before I do the sewing, you know. And that pre-treatment is very important because it also prevents, let's say, cotton fabric or shrinkable fabrics. If you don't pre-treat them, they will shrink, you know, after the wearer has washed it. And that makes it tighter, it makes it shorter, and that makes it uncomfortable to wear. So definitely handmade gifts are definitely more durable. So apart from even that, buying handmade items from small businesses help to also, you know, protect or promote or support businesses in the community. So it is a good thing to help to, you know, help people, small businesses in our community when we patronize them. Even if we don't make handmade gifts ourselves, we can at least, you know, patronize people who do. So yeah, so usually the stories behind handmade gifts are usually the most interesting. And please share what your most memorable and valuable handmade gifts is. And I really like to know, because you never know, you might just inspire somebody to get started in a craft or a hobby. So yeah, and the conclusion of this is that handmade gifts or gifts of so whatever handmade or store-bought, giving just benefits both the giver and the receiver. It is a win-win situation. And because we all receive the therapeutic benefits or effects of oxytocin, dopamine, and also the fact that, you know, our blood pressures and heart rates reduce due to the reduction of cortisol in our system. And also we help to keep pollution at bay if we are patronizing the small businesses. And yeah, no matter how small. And there is also the giving and receiving of love, care, and also top quality products. You know, I also always make sure that, you know, whatever, like, you know, the trouble I take to source my I'm prepared to go to the ends of the world to get my oils, my bases, my products. Because I put them on my body myself. I put them in on my skin, and I always want to make sure that they are top notch. So you can, you know, be rest assured for the most part that when you patronize someone who makes handmade items, like, you are getting a good quality item, you know, and you are indirectly also benefiting from all the other bonus rewards that I've mentioned. So yeah, and the most important thing is that, you know, you just might either start a new hobby yourself by, you know, you might be motivated to start a new hobby yourself, or you might be, you know, motivated, or someone else might be inspired by something that you make or that you bought from somebody else. So please subscribe or share or like if you have found this video helpful, because that way you can now, you know, keep track of us, you know, and you be aware of what our new other exploration is about in the next video. So thank you so much for watching, and bye for now, and happy giving and also receiving. Bye.